Oh, ZAC EFRON, the final chapter. Yes, that was wonderful. And in just a minute, we're going to begin our Q&A with our artistic director, David Rhee, and all our actors. So if you have any questions, please send them into the chat box right now. And know that, we can't actually hear your applause right now, but it's not too late to show your appreciation for ZAC EFRON and Token Theater by making a contribution at tokentheater.net. That's TOKENTHEATRE.net, and clicking on the Support Us link by the top of the page. And remember, as I mentioned earlier, Token Theater stands with victims of AAPI hate crimes. And in support of that, half of your donations for this performance will be going to support members of the AAPI community who have suffered verbal and physical attacks just for being Asian. And of course, the other half will go to help us mount a full-scale production of ZAC EFRON. So that means any contribution at any amount tonight is going to be going to great causes. So reach us at tokentheater.net. And I see right now we've got all of our company here. Let me open up my window so I can see everybody. Hi, congratulations, guys. Oh, that was just so wonderful. David, this is our Token Theater's artistic director and creator and playwright for ZAC EFRON, David Rhee. David, I think writing is like, kind of a birthing and raising a child. And now, how does it feel? We've had parts 1, 2, and 3. How does that feel for you?
I was telling the actors earlier, what's been wonderful about this process ultimately, I'll be honest, I can't stand watching because they are amazing, but I can't stand watching it. So I have my head down and I walk away every single time. But what's been amazing about this cast, and the other 2 casts have been so great, but this specific cast, it's been amazing because they've just brought it, and you forget that it's something that you've created, and you just start getting into the drama itself, which is a gift. And what was great, and I was talking to Miranda and Sophie, who are our SMs for the show, after the first rehearsal that I saw, and the second rehearsal, excuse me, and I said, I can see all the faults, and it has nothing to do with the actors. I can see all the faults within the script now, which is a gift. And I could see where it needs to be caught, what needs to be added, et cetera, et cetera. So I think this round specifically has been one of those rounds where I watch and I'm just like, oh, okay, I see the strengths, I see the weaknesses, et cetera, et cetera. So frankly, this whole process has been a wonderful, wonderful gift that a lot of playwrights don't get, unless they have a very specific type of backing. So I'm just thankful, to be honest.
Well, it's been so exciting to have this opportunity, ironically enough, because, with the pandemic, we actually at Token Theater have been given the opportunity to let a much wider audience see parts 1, 2, and 3 of ZAC EFRON. So, of course, if you want to see the whole production in a full-scale production, that's what we're hoping to raise money for, as well as for to support victims of AAPI hate crimes. Let me go to Wai, co-writer of ZAC EFRON. Why, the journey that Wai, the character, gets to go through is so clear in this section. What is it like for you? You played it in segments, and you had a beautiful arc in this as well. What does that feel like for you?
It's surreal. It's super surreal because where the reality lies and where the performance lies is blur in a line that is kind of like I don't know where I'm at right now, because I do have a YouTube channel. I do have a tarot tube channel, which I saw some of my tarot people are here. Hi, Lucy. Hi, Kitty. Everyone. So I'm really grateful that they're supporting, and we're kind of like crossover that I can promote my Token Theater, my theater life over there, and they're being so supportive. And yet we are able, I'm so surprised that we're able to brought tarot into this play. And it's just so great. David saw one of my episodes on my YouTube channel, and he literally like cut and paste the first 15 minutes into a couple of the scene. And it just there's something about it that there's a need about being validated, being performative, seeking for love, seeking for approval in this crazy virtual age that like TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, we're constantly trying to get the like, get the subscriber, but it is also like what we need. This is how we can get advertisement now. It's so surreal. So everything is, I don't know where I'm at now. So I'm grateful, happy, and I'm so glad everybody is here.
Well, you should feel that way because it all came together so beautifully during this segment. It's funny though, the Tejero was like an additional character when it comes to, oh, what has he got to say? You know, but the heartbreak of this, it's very touching to see, you know, the fight between David and Wai is, oh my God, it's just wonderful. And with that, you know, let me go on to Hansel Tan. Hansel, thank you for joining us. Thank you for doing this part. Just great work, Hansel. Yes, absolutely. Woo, woo, woo.
Thank you for having me, all the way from New York to boot.
Well, I was just going to say, you know, you performed around the world, Singapore Repertory Company, Public Theater, Pan-Asian Company, and here you are playing David. And Dave, he's such a rich character, and we see a lot of that in this scene. So I'd like you to talk to our viewers a little bit about how that was for you, handling this piece of David in part 3.
It just felt like a page out of me and my friend's life on a Friday night when we were drunk. Everything discussed was just so real, and everything is, you just have these conversations that happen so frequently, sort of behind closed doors, and it's so refreshing to suddenly hear them out loud, and quite alarming as well, because you know they're almost a little embarrassing to hear out loud, but it's something we really have to speak up about and hear ourselves talk about it. As a community, you know, not just as a gay community, but it's also an Asian American community, as a community living in America. It was fairly easy to access all these emotions because they've always been simmering under the surface for many, many, many years. And major props to David for really touching on such a nerve here that I think that is so close to a lot of us in this community. So props to you.
One thing I love about it is that it does reveal so much of the Asian American experience, you know, and yet it's not a soapbox. It's like people talking at, yeah, oh, I know exactly what they're talking about. You know, I get exactly what these two friends are talking about from both perspectives. So yes, I'm sure it was great fun to do. Lisa Tejero, Wai's mom. Lisa has acted across the country. I mean, Seattle Rep, Oregon, Oregon Shakespeare Festival, as well as all over the Midwest, as well as onto Broadway. Actually, where are you right now, Lisa?
I'm actually now in St. Louis, where I'm sort of temporarily, permanently perching as of late. I'm pretty much on the road, so but I was sort of pandemically stranded by choice out in Ashland, Oregon, because the show I was doing up there, we opened, and 2 days later we froze.
Wow.
Well, okay, and I know about that show. You know, we have seen. You know, we talk about Token Theater's mission to to change the narrative and shatter false constructs. And you and I have acted for a long time in the theater. You've had a great career with all these tremendous roles, but I'm sure you've seen a change in the times for women as well as for minorities and Asian Americans. And that is reflected very much in that piece you were just doing at Ashland, that Henry VI.
Yeah, it was a really fascinating all-female and non-binary production of Henry VI. It was called Bring Down the House, and we did it in 2 parts. And we learned to taiko drum and basically, you know, swing some broadswords around. And it was a very physical, sort of abstract, but also really heartfelt production and super ensemble. And I do a lot of Mary Zimmerman work, and it was pretty much on par with the sort of rigor that it required for that. And when we opened, like, each of us had cheat sheets because you had like 40 little things. It wasn't your lines or your scenes. It was like, where do I put the chair on which Henry on the floor? You know, so it was, and it was a whole panoramic of fantastic actors that I worked with of all persuasions. And it was really great to be in what I feel often is a very Chicago sensibility, but I do know is elsewhere. But it's great to be a place where you feel a lot of people are represented, and that's what's so great about this.
It's wonderful. You know, and leading off of that, we're getting questions here, so I want to go to some of our questions that our viewers are sending in. So let me see if I can find one here. I had, when will there be another production? Perfect, because what we'd like to do is, you know, there are so many loose ends we've seen here. I mean, my goodness, that last scene, I mean, had David and his ZAC EFRON, what was it? Wai and Nathan, was it? Nathan, he was their hot dogs. What's going to happen with Mom? What happens with all these loose ends? Will there be another production? I'm going to let David. Why don't you address that question?
I think that the answer to that question is up to the people who are watching. You know, in terms of because it's something that we want to do. It's something that, I mean, we've had now 400 people in the first show up, which we couldn't have done if we weren't using this medium. 400 people watched the second iteration. So there's definitely an interest and a demand for this. But unfortunately, what it boils down to are finances, you know? So I think it boils down to, once we get the funds together, we want it exactly. If we want to do this, it's just, it all depends on, you know, because I mean, Wai and I were talking about Token today, and just his belief in the theater company, and it really was just really touching. And I ended up by saying, listen, we're more than a theater company, we're a movement. And I genuinely believe that what we're doing is more than just putting shows on stage. We're creating a new narrative. Like, up until now, narratives have been placed on us. And the stories that we as actors have been forced to tell are narratives that someone else has created for our community. So what we're trying to do now is literally trying to create a narrative that says, no, here's our story from our perspective, you know? And that's what's so exciting about it.
That's so true. I think that, and we need the storytellers. I always felt, you know, throughout my years of work, it was great to work anytime, and at least I know that's your experience too, to be able to have a role in storytelling, but to have a role in the creation of the storytelling really is what Token Theater is about, is what we all have the opportunity for now. And it's so exciting to have this talent that is coming together. I mean, look, we've got Hansel Tan from New York, we've got Lisa coming in from St. Louis, and our past casts, we've been able to draw from across the country, as well as reach all of our viewers, people who would never have a chance to have a sample of Token Theater of ZAC EFRON. And it's a blessing of this format. So we're so glad that people tuned in. You know, I think that this national access question about what people are exposed to, what kind of an impact do we think that can have for theaters like ours, for voices like ours, anybody who wants to address that? National access.
Lisa Tejero, I think I'm not trying to force you. It's just, I feel like, first of all, there's a respect from me to you. And because I feel like there's an insight that you can give that, yeah.
She's been around the block.
I didn't want to say that. I did not want to say that. No.
It's okay. I like the neighborhood. It's quite good. Yeah, it's, you know, one of the things, it's like, yes, this thing happened, and it sort of kind of froze our industry in its tracks. And like, literally, I was somewhere that I thought I was going to be 10 months, and I ended up working 2 months, but living there 16 months. And, but one of the things that we focused on, just a few of us who were there, was how do we still create and reach out and build things? And there is a frustration with the screen in terms of being an actor, because we're not really doing film and we're not really doing theater. But we are being forced to be producers and set designers and costume designers, and really take a look at what we present forth and able to share it. And now what happens is people have access to seeing shows. I saw shows in New York and Chicago and Seattle during lockdown that I never would have been able to have access to. And I think this has given us, I cannot wait to be back in the room, because the missing component for me is the audience. I don't even really get to connect with my actors in the same way, because our eye lines are here. Because if we're here, it's not quite right. Yeah. But then we're able to sometimes, it's a strange bridge we're playing. And I cannot wait till it's live, but I also cannot wait to be able to continue to share this. And things like this, if you like this, tell your friends, share this link now. I think it's up for 4 more days. And there was a question up there that was, is there another section? And yes, this is the final chapter of the online, but there is actually, to see the full play in its entirety, because the 4th act will knock your socks off. It's really beautifully written. I say to both you and David and Wai, be very proud of what you've got. It's really fascinating. And so yes, we've been forced into this box, but we're able to share deeper and farther. So help us in that.
Hey, Cheryl, sorry.
Oh, I was just going to say, even with the constructs of this format, you guys were so great in this. Again, the actors, I gotta say, I was so compelled. It's like, wow, this is just great, even with this. So we've learned how to really still make incredible connections. It's different for the performer, but boy, as a viewer, it was a great experience. And I have a comment here from someone I wanted to share because they were into it. I can tell. It's like, why do you think it's so hard to be honest when love is literally staring you in the face? Why the need to chase after shallow relationships? Do you think ethnicity adds another layer to that? That is a great question, just that last part of it. Yeah, okay, I see why you want to. Yes.
You're muted, Wong.
Okay, I'm back. Like, see, this crazy medium is so crazy. Yes. The whole reason we wrote this play in part was because of our personal experience. Me and Cheryl, which is here, and David were having a dinner one night, and then David was kind of bragging, "Oh my God, after Crazy Rich Asians, I'm meeting all these guys and I'm going on dates, but I couldn't find love." And I look at him, I'm like, "What do you mean? I have zero, none." So even within our ethnicity, our Asian experience is different. Like, David has his experience, I have my experience, and I wonder how Hansel's experience is, because I don't know, like, you go between Singapore and here, but for my experience in America is like difficult. What about you?
Oh, I have to answer?
Yeah. Tell us.
Wow. Okay, so first of all, my Venmo is at Hansel Tan. So if you want the real tea, throw me some dollars and we can have a chat. No, but really, it has a lot to do with power and desire. And I think, power and desire interact and manifest in very, very different ways in different societies. We're just starting to undo or take the seams apart from how they work in our own love lives. It's all our relationships, like it or not, are mediated by these energies and by these grids. But I believe it is act of creativity that allowed us to see above and beyond that. Sometimes it takes extra work to be able to break beyond that. So I'm sort of coming in a roundabout way, but I'm saying ethnicity is inevitably wrapped up in structures of desire and power that do play out on a wide scale.
But I think it's a really interesting question that the person asked, and Hansel, I'd love to hear your response to it. Where it says because you said earlier that it sort of hits a raw nerve, some of the stuff that we're talking about, because it's been hidden for so long and all of a sudden it's being exposed. Why is this? I mean, you would think that that'd be like, woo, that's what's empowering. Why is that so difficult? Because I agree with you.
I think, for a lot of people, we have to understand that abject communities are still abject communities in some ways. There are many people who take different journeys to be warriors. So I think shame figures in very different ways, especially within the Asian American community, and especially within a community that is not homogenous. When we say Asian American community, we don't just mean a single group of people. We mean different groups of people from different with different immigration histories all together. And then we want to talk about gay Asian Americans. That brings more into the picture. So we have so much heterogeneity within that. And so I guess what I'm trying to say is there is still a lot of shame around speaking the truth to these things and really digging into it. And I have an inkling that some people would rather not talk about them and to live the unspoken rules of the game.
Like the poor man's smile.
Exactly, like the poor man's smile.
I think one of the beautiful things about this story, as all great pieces, is the humanity of it, because illustrating those human feelings with this gay couple in strife, as just a woman and also as an Asian woman, I get all those things. The conflicts, my version of like, oh yeah, I felt that, I've wondered about that, and I think the access of everybody to identify with their own hearts and seeing the show, seeing it through theirs, it's just a wonderful story. That's what these stories are supposed to do, and it's amazing that Asian gay couple gets to illustrate something, because they always say there's only certain themes that go over and over, but to see it in this context just illuminates it in a different way. So I think that is what we have ahead of us that we can accomplish, again, with your support. So I want to remind everybody, because we're coming to the end of our time right now, if you're able to, why don't you support us right now? Go to tokentheater.net and know that when you make a pledge of support right now, you're going to be supporting not only the next production, the full production of ZAC EFRON, but also half those monies are also going to be going to support AAPI Community Fund, which supports victims of Asian violence. So it's a wonderful cause, and it's been a really exciting time with all of you and all of you. So thank you so much.
There's one question. There's one question I want to answer.
Wait.
I think David can also give insight to that. How much is needed for a full production? Do we want to tell them?
Sure. If we know.
Just a ballpark.
Yeah. If you know.
I think to do it right. Really, do you really want the answer to this?
Sure.
Okay. I think to do it right, we are looking at least 6 figures at this point to do it right, because we want to do it with equity actors. We do want to do it with. There's a lot of as you guys can see, there's a lot of technology involved, and there's a lot of people who have been saying things like in the comment section, I totally see how this works for Zoom and whatnot, but how are you going to transfer it to the stage? You have to remember, it was created for the stage initially. We adjusted it for this medium. So there are going to be some lines in the actual show that are going to be completely cut because it's not going to work within the medium that we're using right now. But that being said, there's a lot of technology that we are using, and because of that, we are looking right now at 6 figures. So.
And what I would also say is that given that kind of budget, I understand it. The monies we raise as we're going along at the beginning really help put us on a pathway to that. It says to the people who do have those kinds of funds available, the grants kind of things, when we can come with them and say, look, we have this much from the grassroots support. People are responding. People just sitting at home watching this going, cool, I want to. Those contributions add up to give us access to, honestly, the big money. So if what's comfortable for you, honestly, we've said it, $10, $20, if that's what's in your budget, it makes a huge difference because it helps us open the door to the kind of funding that David is talking about to really make a full production possible. So that's why this is a really important time if you're in a position to really connect with us and make a contribution. TokenTheater.net, your funds are going to go half towards AAPI Community Fund and half towards Token Theater's production. All great causes and all helping to open the door to something really exciting. And you're getting in at the beginning.
It's very exciting in the chat that like people are asking, is it a high 6-figure or a low 6-figure? Of course, we want it to be a high 6-figure. The idea of like, you know, renting a beautiful space, costume, technology, paying the actor, because we need to get paid. We need to get paid.
Listen, in all honesty, I think it's not really so much, and I agree with it. Yes, Wai's right. But you have to understand, when Erik and I started this theater company, we sat. Erik got his MFA from Columbia out in New York in theater management, and when I approached him about this idea, because you know Chicago lacks a truly Asian American theater company. You know the coasts have it, but the second largest theater community in America didn't. So we said, let's fill that niche. And he said, if we're going to do this, we have to do it right. And what we did was we literally reached out to all our friends across the country. You know, I flew out to California to meet with artistic director for Pasadena Playhouse. We met with people from the Goodman Theater. We met with people from NATCO out in New York City. I mean, just like, I cannot tell you the amount of people we met with. And we said, our first question was, how do you do this? Financially, how do you do this? You know? And they said, the first year is going to suck because the first year is about friends and family, because every single grant that's out there, they're going to say, we love your mission statement, but we can't support you yet unless we know how serious this is. And that's been the case. You know, you have no idea. We have people from some of the big grant companies who meet with us. They want to meet with us because they see our mission statement. They see what we're about. They are so excited about what we're doing. And every single person have said the same. I mean, we've literally spent 2 years doing just this. And every single grant and every single group has said, after your first year, you know, but the way to do this and what every theater company has done their first and second year is friends and family, which is why we're ultimately reaching out to all of you right now.
You are our friends and family, and our family's expanded across the country. I just thought of another thing in our budget. We got to house all the out-of-town actors and talents,
Absolutely.
right? For our production. So that also has to go into the budget. So I think that this is a great time to kind of wrap it up. Okay. Thank you, everybody. And remember, this is going to be available on the YouTube, Token Theater YouTube station for 4 more days. That is till Wednesday, June, what was it?
Wednesday, yep.
Wednesday, okay. So tell all your friends. You can watch it again. You can share this and enjoy this. ZAC EFRON, the final chapter. Thanks all.
Thanks, everybody.
Goodbye, lovers.
Bye.